Hi, this is part two of my romance novel collection series of videos. And in part one, I ran through my Harlequin romance novels, but I actually still have more Harlequins to go through. And then we'll be able to go to other publishers and talk about them. So let's start here with just a recap. This is the original Harlequin romance series, um, which began in 1949. And by around 1960, they started. They originally published other genres, but by 1960, they began to focus on just romance, which was their most popular genre. This book is like from 1983, probably 1982. So sometimes you can just kind of tell from the cover design they had. And after a while, they switched them out. This one is from 1992, it looks like, and they have the well, it's hard to see there, but they have the book number and the dates on the sides often. And let's see, we have book number 3261. Again, it's kind of hard to see there, but and that one is from 1993. Now, sometimes you'll run across a Harlequin romance that has a book number that seems kind of strange for it to have. This one actually says 401 over in the corner, but the book is from 1998. So how can that be? Well, that was a part of a series that came out at the same time as the regular Harlequin series, but it was the Harlequin subscription series, and I presumably was just available to subscribers at the time. But it had a different numbering system, so that's why it has a lower number, even though it is a more recent book. Harlequin, of course, as I mentioned in the previous video, also published a second series starting in 1973 called Harlequin Presents. Now, these are called category romances because they have those numbers. They come out every month, multiple books a month, and you can kind of collect them like comic books. Of course, they don't, most of the time, they don't continue. They are just standalone books, but people collect various authors and stuff. And Harlequin Presents sort of focused on their more popular authors and had more of a contemporary style than the original Harlequin romance series. And Harlequin Presents is still coming out, and you probably have seen this now. They have a red border type thing at the top. These are still available at drugstores and places like that. They tend now to have titles that are a little more literal sounding. Back in the 70s, they might have a title that said Desert Moon or something like that was a little more evocative. A Time to Dream. This is, I guess, for the 90s, but nowadays they'll tend to have, you'll see titles that are something like Impregnated by the Sheik. It's a lot more literal sounding, but they're kind of considered fairy tales for adults. They'll have, like in this story, the falling for the Mediterranean billionaire businessman type of story. This is actually, I think, a sequel to a previous story, so that's sort of the continuation. When you start reading it, you're already in the middle of, a thing where the characters already know each other. And I'd mentioned before Harlequin Intrigue. This is a little later Harlequin Intrigue, 1998, than the one I had shown previously in my previous video. And they had changed the cover design around 92 or so. So I don't really like these later cover designs, and now I don't care for the current cover design at all. It has more of a photo cover and stuff like that. But Harlequin Intrigue is still being published. No longer being published is American Romance. I had mentioned those before. This started in the early 80s to provide a home for their more newer American writers as opposed to the British writers that they always had published previously. This is a book by Anne Stewart. I like Anne Stewart's writing. I've read 3 of her books, including this one. Or no, yeah, I guess 3. And I didn't care for this one that much. The problem was the hero. You'll find in a lot of these older romance novels that sort of the pre 90s that the hero is a total jerk. I did not like the way that this guy behaved. He was uh, not a pleasant person. In a very forceful and a demeaning, I thought, sort of way, and and almost indefensible. So you'll find that in some of the older romances, it might be a little hard to take. I find it easier to take if it's a historical. When it's a contemporary book like this, it's little less defensible. But like I said, I do like Anne Stewart's writing. Here is another. I haven't read this one yet. This is I think for the '90s, and it's called "Here Comes the Grooms" series that Harlequin was doing. I had mentioned previously in my previous video Harlequin Historical, and I had mentioned that they started in 1977, the first series of it anyway. And this is one of those. This is book number 15 from 1978, and this series was soon retitled Masquerade, and then it ended around 1982. Around the same time, they were also publishing a series of romantic suspense books called Mystique, and that they were like translations of French romantic suspense novels. And those that ended around the same time. Then in '86, they started a short-lived Harlequin historical series, and then in '88 they started the current Harlequin historical series. This is a more recent one. A lot of times you can just look on the spine there. It says it's a Regency from October 2011. So that's when that one was from. And they don't really have the book numbers anymore on the spine on these, but they are keeping track, I guess, because there's, book number 1060, 1056, and so forth, also by that writer. And Harlequin Historical is still being done. Here, a Harlequin Medical Romance is still being done, too. This is from 2018, book number 933. And this is, I believe, Medical Romance is only being done in the larger print format. And both of these books are by British writers. And I've read this one, but I've not read this one. Harlequin Kiss is no longer being done. It was more of a more sensual category romance. And it doesn't say. This one's from 2016. But yeah, they're both British writers. And now, finally, with the Harlequins, Harlequin Superromance was a category romance coming out every month, but it was thicker than a normal Harlequin romance. And the very first one, which is this one, was like 1980. You'll see it says Harlequin Superromance #1 on there. But this is book number 4, and by then, this is like a reprinted copy, but you'll notice the worldwide symbol there. That stands for the publisher worldwide, which was an imprint of Harlequin. And we have some more where they're book number 11 and 20. Those are worldwide. And whoops, we got some other ones here. Oh, I mixed them up. So let's see. There's that one, that one. So you'll see these covers, and these are during the worldwide era. But then you have the Harlequin era, where they have more traditional Harlequin-looking covers. And these are from the 80s, early 90s. I think they did the switch around 1985, where now it does say Harlequin instead of worldwide on it. But again, the whole point of these Superromance series was that they were thicker, because there was a popularity of big fat historical novels and things like that. They're big thick books that the category romances couldn't really compete with because they were a lot thinner. But it's funny that this Superromance does have a connection with Harlequin's Men's Adventure series books, which I'll show you in here in a second. So in the late 70s, Pinnacle Books published Mack, Bolan, Executioner. These now were men's adventure books, sort of the men's version of a romance novel, books that are geared toward a particular gender. And so you had Mack, Bolan, Executioner, but these were published by a company called Pinnacle Books. And later, Worldwide, Harlequin's parent company, or imprint, got the rights to take over the Mack Bolan series, which are also numbered. And they had their imprint for them, the Men's Adventure imprint, was called Gold Eagle, but they were actually Harlequin. They have the same sort of layout. If you look on the ISBN number, 373 is actually the same as Harlequin's 373. It's the company's name. If you look on other ISBN numbers on any books, unless they're Harlequin or Worldwide or Gold Eagle. They're not going to say 373. They say have a different number. So these were some of the Mack Bolan books of the time. And I bought some of these at the time. Now, they also started their own Super Bolan series. This, I think, was the second Super Bolan. The first one was the one where April Rose died. That's the Mack Bolan's love of his life. So this was the second one, but it's like a super romance. It's thicker than another one, and they came out, a few times a year, and then gradually, I think they were like every month. Later on, you'd have Deathlands was a Gold Eagle series, and this is Outlanders. And I bought these at Kmart when they came out in the not too long ago. It was, let me check here, 2013. And one of my favorites though was Rogue Angel, and again it was a men's adventure series. This was about a female heroine, sort of like a cross between Tomb Raider and, well, a girl with a sword. So, but they are exciting adventure stories. And unfortunately, Gold Eagle went out of business. So just a few years back, in fact, one of these is probably the final Rogue Angel book. So it's a bit unfortunate that they decided to abandon the men's adventure market and just focus, instead just on the romance novels. But anyways, a lot of people, as they bought these, they probably did not realize that Gold Eagle was actually Harlequin. Oh, does it still say 373? Yep, it does. It's hard to see there, but yeah. So anyways, that's my collection of Harlequins, and I'll part 3, I'll get into other publishers. And thanks for watching.